Well, the All Blacks made a flying start to the defence of their Rugby World Cup title in Japan over the weekend, beating the Springboks 23-13 in Yokohama to take control of Pool B and stamp their mark on the tournament. Now, our rugby expert, we're going to call him Joe Sporter for the duration of the Rugby World Cup. It's a shorthand for us. Joe Sporter is in Tokyo and he joins us now. Hi, Joe. Has the dust settled over there now? What do we make of this win over the Springboks? What does it mean for the All Blacks from here on in?
Yeah, well, look, it was a convincing win now that I look back on it. At the time, I thought there was a few things that the All Blacks possibly wouldn't be so happy with, and that still remains the case. But let's think about this. The Springboks were considered the All Blacks' biggest rival coming into the World Cup, and no one quite knew where the All Blacks stood after that 16-all draw with the Boks in Wellington in July. So let's look at it from an outside perspective. 23-13, a convincing win. They handled all the Springboks could throw at them at the start before taking control of the game. And with 10 minutes left after they'd put themselves more than a converted try away, they just shut the game down. Some nice play to get around the Springboks' rush defence, some new tools, I think, that we saw from the All Blacks. A few new tricks up their sleeve that they unleashed in that game, and I think they'll be very, very happy with the way they performed. And basically what it means is that they control their own destiny now. They've got easy-ish games, you would say, against Canada, Namibia and Italy. And if they win those, which they should, as expected, they top their pool and they get to face second in Pool C, likely to be Scotland probably at this point, or perhaps Japan if they can get up. So they control their own destiny. They can now manage their squad the way they wanted to, and they know they're tracking right towards the World Cup. Had they lost, they still had 3 weeks to get it right before the quarterfinals, but it certainly would have put a lot more pressure on. They know they're on the right track. They know they've got the game to get around the rush defence and some new tools that can help them do that. I guess from now on it's just about managing their squad and hoping they don't get any major injuries before what should be some big quarterfinals and semi-finals against some Northern Hemisphere teams.
Hey, the thing is, though, if you take a bit of a beating right at the beginning, it maybe bucks your ideas up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So, the Springboks, it's far from catastrophic for them. They've got 3 weeks to fine-tune things and perhaps, they've had a look at the All Blacks now, so they get to, make a new plan that they can, I guess, stop the All Blacks from doing what they did in Yokohama. Many people are still predicting it'll be a Springboks All Blacks final. And I guess the Springboks have already had one bite of the cherry. So, you never know. They get to come back. They get to work on what went wrong. And the All Blacks still have chinks in their armour. We saw that against the Boks. That first 15 minutes, they were frantic. They were out of control. And the Boks really dominated proceedings. The same thing happened in the second half, really. And they were outscored in the second half as well. And if it wasn't for that try-saving tackle from Richie Mwanga in the corner, it could have been a totally different game. So, look, the All Blacks aren't perfect yet, but certainly a pretty damn good result first up.
So who are the biggest threats, do you reckon, for us?
Well, look, I still think the Boks are, they'll come the final, they'll be a different beast. They'll recite a Bible verse, they'll smack each other around in the dressing room and come out pretty fired up. England are probably the other biggest threat you would imagine. They looked not great against Tonga, let's be honest, yesterday, but they have a forward pack that's unsettled the All Blacks before and a very committed rush defence that perhaps is even a little bit more effective than the Boks. However, dry tracks in Japan, hard, fast grounds, doesn't suit the English style of play. They like to play at Twickenham where it's boggy, slow underfoot, and kick penalties and kick goals. I think the All Blacks handled their Springboks style of play, which is similar to England. The box kicks from the halfback, driving mauls, that sort of stuff pretty well. And like I said, showed some new tools that could unlock a rush defence. So certainly in my mind, the Springboks and England still the biggest threats to the All Blacks.
OK, so they've got 10 days now. What do? They could go off the boil, Joe. They could be lying around at spas and having too much sake and eating sushi and not really be on their game.
Yeah, well, you're right. There is I guess, a risk of that happening, but that's probably why it was good to play South Africa first, because it's their real litmus test. If you started with Namibia, Canada, had a gap in between, Italy, and then the Boks last, you wouldn't really know where you were going through those games. You might go off the boil, but they've beaten the Boks. They know they're tracking well, so now they just need to manage their squad. Sure, 10 days is a long time between games, but they're playing Canada next. They should win that game quite comfortably. Now they can rotate their squad, use all 31 players within it, keep the guys that are carrying niggles fresh, keep their sort of top choice 15 or 23 fresh. And then they've got 4 days between Canada and Namibia, and they get to experience a short turnaround. So they'll just rotate players. They'll make sure the key guys aren't getting too much game time and aren't getting injured. And I think now they basically get to control everything until the quarterfinals. So, no, I think they're in a very good place.
Thanks, Joe. Good to talk to you. That is Joe Porter, our sports reporter in Tokyo there.